It really is starting to feel like now or never for Aston Villa in the Premier League as we go into this Brentford away game tomorrow. And we are going to be discussing that game as well as the overall impact of the Premier League this season, why this game is so pivotal and important given the run of fixtures that we have after it, which is effectively none. And other games are going to be playing their game in hand, and we're going to be looking at the injuries, all that kind of stuff, form guides, the lot, predicting our lineup and the score as well. So if you are enjoying the content, leave a like, subscribe down below for more with notifications on so you do not miss a thing. But let's have a chat about Brentford versus Aston Villa. It's game week 29 for Aston Villa in the Premier League. So as you can see on screen, we have the Premier League table up, and the reason this game is so important is because there's only 10 games left, including this one. We have played more than anyone else apart from Liverpool at the moment in the league, playing 28 games. Everyone around us only playing 27. So at the moment, we are sitting in 10th, as you can see, again, on 42 points. Brentford are just behind us on 38. So this is a massive game for a couple of reasons. I mean, first of all, we're barely scraping on to being in the top half of the table. If Brentford beat us today, they go, what will it be, 1 point behind us with a game in hand as well. You look at Crystal Palace breathing down our necks. Tottenham are there or thereabouts as well. We really can't afford to be dropping points because we could go, I mean, really, you look at how many points they're all on. We could go as low as 15th, 16th if we don't win our next few games and the teams around us pick up some points. That's how serious it is in the league this season. You know, you look at the other end of the spectrum though. A win today puts us, on tomorrow as this video comes out, puts us on 45 points. That is up to 6th position in the table, 1 point behind Chelsea, who are currently in 5th, and only 2 points behind City in 4th, 3 behind Nottingham Forest. So it really is all to play for in this game. But with the other teams having games in hand around us, we don't play another Premier League game now for like 3 weeks. It's really important to go into that rest period on a high with 3 points. But who are we playing? Well, it's Brentford, and we're a bit of a mixed bag against them. Now, actually, our last game against Brentford this season at home at Villa Park was relatively memorable. I remember watching it on TV, and it was just like a flurry of Villa excellence for 15 minutes as Rodgers, Watkins and Cash put us 3-0 up in the, I think it was 21st, it'll be on the screen, 28th and 34th minute. Brentford did come back into the game in the second half, getting a goal through Mikkel Damsgaard, but it was a pretty resounding, pretty easy and pretty comfortable win. Now, that is not to take anything away from Brentford. They are an outstanding team. They have outstanding talent, and Bueno, Visser, Damsgaard, the three that you really need to look out for. But they are susceptible to conceding goals, as they have shown this season. They have been a little bit of a bogey team for Villa in the past. I remember when we were like 3-0 up against them, or we were 2-0 up, and then I think they scored like 3 goals in 3 minutes, and we scored a last-minute equaliser to go 3-3 at the back end of last season. And they're a really good team that we cannot take lightly. But let's have a look at the home and away stats for Brentford and Villa, respectively. As you can see on the screen, Brentford have a record of 7 wins, 3 draws, and 4 losses at home this season in the Premier League. If we scroll through the results here on the screen, you can see, again, out of the 14 games that they've played, so they win at about 50% of them. At the moment, they beat Crystal Palace, Southampton. They had a good result against Wolves, 5-3. Beat Bournemouth 3-2 at home, which is a very, very good result for any team in the Premier League so far this season. Beat Newcastle 4-2 as well. However, there has been a slight change and a slight dip. That win against Newcastle was on the 12th of August 2024. So, now we have a little look further. Oh no, sorry, the 7th of December. So 7th of December. The dates are just the wrong way around on this strange website. So that is, what is it now? 4 months ago, nearly. 3 months ago, 4 months ago. They beat Newcastle 4-2. Since then, they have gone on to lose to Nottingham Forest, Arsenal, draw to Manchester City, and then lose to Liverpool, Tottenham, and eventually draw to Everton in their last game at home on the 26th of February. Now, that is a hard run of fixtures, right? The teams that they've lost to: Nottingham Forest, top 4, Arsenal, top 4, Liverpool, top 4, and then Tottenham Tottenham are a weird team because even though they're 14th, they can turn up on any day and win. Now we contrast that with Aston Villa's away record this season, and instantly you can see flashing up on the screen, it's not fantastic. We've won 4, drawn 2 and lost 7, which is almost a complete reversal of Brentford's home record, which is actually relatively pleasing aesthetically, even though it's not pleasing if you're a Villa fan because those stats are not the best. So if we look through our away form this season, started off alright at the start of the season, wins at West Ham and Leicester, draw at Ipswich, fine, a win at Fulham, that's pretty good considering that they're a good team, and then it kind of just goes downhill. A 4-1 loss to Tottenham, 2-0 loss to Liverpool, 3-0 loss to Chelsea, that really stinger 2-1 loss against Nottingham Forest. The 5th away loss in a row came at the hands of Newcastle, who absolutely demolished us when they beat us 3-0 in that game. That's the game that John Duran got sent off in. We then managed to get a win against Everton, which, considering what David Moyes is doing for that club at the moment, is not too bad. And then the away form just continues to dip and get worse. And it's specifically bad after we play Champions League games. And what have we just done? We've just gone and beat Bruges 3-1 in midweek. We drew to Arsenal. Wasn't actually a bad performance, but then lost to Wolves, and that really, really bad 4-1 loss against Crystal Palace, just to kind of top it all off and probably make us feel like we want to top ourselves as well. In terms of injuries for this game, we actually come in with a decent slate of players back from injury. Donyell Malen was carrying an illness. I assume that will be cleared up for this game. Pau Torres was back on the bench against Club Bruges. Kamara featured against Bruges. Cash featured against Bruges. We're still going to be without Onana and Ross Barkley. I do believe that they are just on a Caribbean holiday somewhere, and I don't actually know if they're Aston Villa players anymore, to be honest with you. But we're going to be without them, nevertheless. But that's only 2 players. Yes, it's 2 key players in that midfield position where we are starting to see some heavy legs, I think, sneak in with the likes of McGinn and Tielemans, which for Tielemans is to be expected because he's played effectively every minute of this season. However, we are going to be probably looking to rotate ever so slightly, just purely because we have that massive second leg against Bruges. And yes, that is at home. Yes, we have the 3-1 advantage. I'm pretty sure they beat Atalanta 3-1 in the second leg of their game to go through to this fixture. So as much as Emery says that he focuses on each game at a time, you just know that a little bit of his mind will be on that Club Bruges game. So with that being said, how would I line? So let's go through the lineup maker live together, shall we? First of all, in goal, of course, it is going to be Martinez. Yes, he came off in our last Premier League game against Palace, but featured 90 minutes in the Champions League. I don't think he's the type of player that's going to want to sit on the bench, especially for such a vital run-in at the end of the season. So for me, he gets the nod in this position. Right back, I think we are going to see the reintroduction of Cash into a starting role. Konsa had to do a lot of running in midweek. Disasi obviously started at right back as well, but pushed forward quite a bit. And I don't think that we're going to see Disasi back at the right back slot today. I think Disasi might even be dropped to the bench. Bringing me on to the next player, which is Konsa. Yes, he again, you think about resting players, he's actually in the wrong position there. Let's just move him across like that. But he's just so integral to the way that we play. I don't believe he will be dropped for this game. And I also think that Mings will get the nod again. You could make an argument for Lamar Bagard to start in that role, but I have other plans possibly for him in this game. Moving on to right back, I think we're going to see Maatsen. It's the natural rotation at the moment. It seems like Digne starts one, Maatsen starts one, and I think Maatsen could just get the nod here in this game. A little bit of pace to deal with that rapid front three that Brentford do have. And again, Digne needs a rest. Again, you could see a couple of changes there. Perhaps Disasi starts over Mings, but Mings had such a good performance in midweek. He seems like the type of player that probably wants to build on that momentum and will just be itching to get a start. Which brings me on to our central defensive midfield role. And we're going to go, I've got it wrong twice there. If we're going to go for Tielemans in one slot, and I am going to go for Bagard in the other slot. The more natural holding midfielder for me, John McGinn has played a lot of football, so has Tielemans, but I just think that John McGinn is more droppable from the squad right now. I think Bogard is on a brilliant run of form and needs to just pretty much play as much football as he can at the moment. So getting him back in a starting role, he's played this role before. This is his natural role, that central defensive midfield thing. With again, it gives Tielemans a bit more freedom as well because he actually has a CDM mindset. Kamara, yes, he's the best player that we have. Yes, it's fantastic to have him back. I think it's probably just a little bit too early for him to be reintroduced into the starting lineup. Going out to the left-hand side, and I think we'll see Rashford dropped to the bench after getting the nod to start in midweek, purely because I think he'll be starting in midweek again come next week. And then there's a big decision to be made with these remaining few spots. Asensio didn't start in midweek, and for that reason, he gets the nod for me in that cam role. And up front, I would probably have to go for Daniel Malen. Watkins hasn't been at it fully this season, and I don't believe he should be getting the nod over Malen when Malen literally can't play in the Champions League. If Malen sits on the bench when he can't physically play in the Champions League, he's just going to get rusty. We know what he can do. He can play out on the right-hand side, but I do believe, because, Emery just refuses to drop him in any way, shape or form, that we'll see Rodgers out on the left. It allows Bailey to have a rest after playing in midweek, and we'll line up a little something like that. Let me know what you think down below. What do I think in terms of predictions for this game? Well, to predict an Aston Villa Premier League game this season is almost as dangerous as your name being Evel Knievel, because there is just no rhyme or reason to how we are playing this year. We could either come out against Brentford and be really, really good and smash it out of the park, or we'll just walk around a pitch for 90 minutes, get slapped up 4-0 and say, oh well, at least we got the Champions League in midweek. So I really don't know, but I'm going to put my positive Villa hat on now, because hopefully that midweek win would have spurred us on. I think we're going to see some changes, some fresh legs, and for that reason, I'm going to say that Villa are going to get a 2-1 win over Brentford. We're not going to keep a clean sheet, because that is literally like an impossible challenge for Villa right now. But I think it's going to be a good performance. I think we're going to lay down a marker to say, look, there's 9 games of this season left. You boys play your games in hand. We're coming for that top 4 spot. Because if we don't, I think Europe through the Premier League, if we lose this game, is over.